Or we could fight about that. You know what? I think we need a little bit of the Valhalla video. We can do this for both shows. People seem to be into this particular topic tonight. So here, let's open up a little bit of the Valhalla video. I like this guy. I trust this guy. I think he's very, very good. So this is the some of the details of the autopsy report are coming out now. And Valhalla, is it Valhalla VFT? Yeah, Valhalla VFT. Very good channel. He knows a lot of this stuff. I trust him.
The bullet lodged in his body. They can tell you exactly where, what was severed, what killed him, where the bullet traveled from his neck down through his body. They have it all fragmented.
His what? Oh, his neck. Oh, sorry. I just
fragmentation of the round that spouted through his body. They have all of that.
Okay, they have it all. They've got it proved. Let's see if this even works mathematically or scientifically. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, so basically a middle school math problem.
So look, bullet hits the C2 vertebrae. That's the C2 vertebrae. You're shooting from a rooftop, and the guy's sitting in a chair. I mean, how the fuck are you hitting the C2 vertebrae without going through his face?
Isn't that hard to figure out? We know that, according to the medical examiner report, this 30-06 round came in, hit him in the C2, traveled down. All right, you guys are going to notice some huge problems with this right away, but let's go ahead and, just look at this objectively. All right, we got a protractor out. Let's put that right here on the C2. Okay, we do know, again, from where Tyler Robinson was shooting, it was a 9-degree slope with a 9-degree offset, essentially meaning almost directly on at a 9-degree slope, which we can travel out from our protractor from the C2 here at 9 degrees. Perfect. All right, as we pull the protractor off, what's the first huge glaring issue you guys are going to see here? Oh, well, if Charlie...
In order for that thing to straight up hit him in the C2, Charlie would have to have been looking straight up.
Kirk was sitting level, sort of parallel to the ground with his jaw, which he was. Let me show you that real quick. All right, so we can see Charlie Kirk is not, got his head all the way back.
Yeah, you ain't hitting that C2 without going through his face.
Like this, he's sitting pretty much flat, looking at the crowd, sort of jaw parallel to the ground as he gets hit. Boom, hit. So you can see that, right? It's actually a little bit of a tilt down even, okay? So let's look at this anatomically. All right, this is essentially exactly how Charlie Kirk is sitting. And they want to tell you the medical examiner report confirms he was first hit in the C2 vertebrae right below the base of the skull. Biggest problem I see with that from the angle Tyler Robinson shoots him from is that would have hit him in the teeth or even above the teeth. There is no possible way that this round came from a 9-degree angle and a 9-degree slope.
Now, this does... Could it have come from his lapel mic down here into a C2? Yeah, but it's not going to launch a bullet. It's going to just explode and launch shrapnel into his neck. So that, I don't know about the exploding lapel mic. Somebody takes a shot from the side. You could hit the C2 vertebrae, sure. But I'm having a hard time. Maybe Derek from Midland Armory can let me know. I don't think you can hit the C2 vertebrae straight on from a 9-degree slope. It doesn't look possible. Now, again, people get mad at you for just pointing this stuff out. People get mad at you for entertaining this stuff. They're, yeah, it's bullshit. Please tell me a better idea. I'm not married to this. This just makes the most sense to me. The best person to talk to is a dumb guy who's having it explained to him. Because when a dumb guy has it explained to him, he doesn't have any inherent biases. He doesn't have anything he's looking to defend. He's going, I don't know what the fuck happened here. I don't know a lot about shooting trajectories and bullets and stuff like that. Fill me in. And this Valhalla VFT guy, who I submit to completely because he's very knowledgeable on ballistics and stuff like this, he's breaking it down, and he's breaking it down in a lot more understandable way than Kash Patel, than Spencer Cox, than anybody else who's been involved in this whole thing.
And hit the C2 while not blowing through Charlie Kirk's face. It's not a thing. We also can see the C2 is not where that gunshot wound is. I can show you that right here. All right.
Let's not look at the gunshot wound.
As you can see here, yeah, he's got some tilt back now after he's been hit, but that round, sorry for my beard, that round is 2-3 inches below his chin. Okay, this round is not all the way up, just underneath the base of the jaw. It's pretty far down. I would say that's closer to the C4 or the C5 to where that round, to
I'm
me,
gonna bring
looks
it
like
back
he
up
got
when the
hit.
picture
So
goes
big
away.
problems right away with this medical examiner report, but let's keep looking at this. All right, so we know this is not possible. Okay, this definitely didn't happen. But if we look at the actual sort of injury to Kirk, looks like he's shot closer to about right here. Okay, on that
on the
left
right
side of the neck.
Well, his left.
Now we look
yeah,
at it this
all right.
way. Now we can make this work for the location of the shot if it enters and hits the C5, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying it hit the C2, traveled down all his vertebrae. It doesn't work. Next thing with this, we're talking about a 30-06 round. Right now you have this 30-06 round traveling at 24 to 2,700 feet per second, or even less, doesn't even matter. Hits him, let's say, hits him in the C2, if this magic bullet that doesn't go through his face somehow, that then refracts straight down into the T1. Yeah, that's not what a 30-06 round is going to do if it hits a human neck vertebrae. We know it's going to blow right through. But even if there was some weird refraction, bullets aren't going to refract almost 90 degrees. We've talked about that. And then keep their actual velocity to be able to do that much damage. Not really a thing. Again, so with just basic middle school math, we already disproved this whole medical examiner's report, or the fact that the shot was taken from where it was taken, a 90-degree slope from straight on. Charlie Kirk sitting flat, parallel chin to the ground. Not possible. It would have hit him in the teeth, not 5 inches lower than the teeth. It's not a thing. So because we know that's not possible, if we're assuming the medical examiner report is true and accurate, now we have to look at alternatives to how this could have taken place. Okay, so let's talk about a few. All right, so I've seen a bunch of different people talking about now, because of this report, this has to prove that Charlie Kirk had body armor, because again, this is...
he had no body armor. That it would be the thinnest body armor in the world, and a 30-06 round would have, it been like scissors to a paper doll.
An impossible shot. It's an impossible angle that it didn't hit him in the face, which, okay, that's kind of an interesting theory, but let's talk about that, all right? Now we're talking about body armor, which again is going to be down here on the chest. Again, 9-degree slope. This is still where the shot came from. Here's the entrance wound. Okay, let's talk about the possibility that the bullet refracted off his body armor. First, let's also make sure that we acknowledge it's been disproven he had body armor on. And not only that, TP USA has publicly stated he had no body armor on. So if you're going to operate under the assumption he has body armor on, you are calling TP USA nefarious liars.
I have no problem with that part. I have no problem. I mean, Turning Point USA has completely bastardized where Charlie Kirk was at on a bunch of issues to use it to shore up their donor support and get certain people back on their side. So I have no problem believing that Turning Point USA is bullshitting me completely.
I'm not prepared.
They have showed that they have no problem stepping over Charlie's corpse in order to protect themselves.
To do that, because why would they purposefully lie about him having body armor on? That seems bizarre to me. But hypothetically, TP USA is lying about this and he had body armor on. Let's look at it. Now, we're still talking about a 30-06 round, okay? A 30-06 round that supposedly comes down, hits him in the body armor, which, by the way, if he had body armor on so small that you couldn't see it through that tiny little shirt, it wouldn't be strong enough to stop a 30-06 round to begin with, but we're in hypothetics here. That then, okay, this almost makes me laugh doing this. That then refracts off the body armor, comes all the way up here at a 90-degree angle to hit this C2, and then re-refracts straight back down.
That's a bouncy ass bullet, dude.
The T1.
That bullet's a luchador. That thing's coming in. That's like a 619, bro. No way.
Guys, bullets are not pinballs. They don't do this, okay? They refract and do weird things as they move through, but changing total direction in almost 180 degrees is not possible. This is Newtonian physics says that's not a thing, okay? So again, I mean, even Rob O'Neill talks about body armor here, and it's actually what he talks about here is interesting because it actually is going to bring us into the next possibility.
But that was not an injury wound that we saw. We saw an exit wound. So where'd that bullet come from? You don't bleed like, and I've shot guys closer than the camera was. And an entry wound doesn't look like that. An exit wound does. Why did his shirt move the way it did? When I've shot people, their shirts didn't move like that. And then the initial reaction was, well, he was obviously...
It's the exit wound that causes all the movement, not the entrance wound. The bullet propulsion comes out of the body and pushes everything away from the bullet. So let's say you get shot in the head. The bullet comes through the back, it's going to push your head forward. That's why people are like, why did Kennedy's head go back into the left? Because the bullet came out the front right. So as the bullet comes out the front right, it's going to push the head back into the left. That's how that works. A bullet's propulsion will not pull you forward. All right, think of it in terms of, say, a jet engine. If a jet engine takes off right in front of your face, it's not going to pull your face in. It's going to push your face away. Same thing with a bullet. So, you're not going to go in the same direction that the bullet went. You're going to go, in Charlie's case, he went back. That would lead you to believe that something came out the front.
Wearing body armor, and it was deflection. One, no. He wasn't wearing body armor. And two, it doesn't deflect like that off of body armor. Why was his shirt moving from right to left? Why were people being interviewed saying, they came from my left to right, from his right to left, immediately shut down?
Okay, so interesting. Yeah, the idea that we'll talk about rounds too, because people say, well, it depends on the round, the 30-06 round. The idea that body armor, that blasts off body armor, goes straight up, hits his neck, comes straight back down. It's not a thing. It's not physically possible, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you. Okay, based off of based off of the medical examiner report's injury, is it possible that a round refracts off body armor at an angle and comes up into his neck? Sure, but not at that extreme angle, and then definitely isn't reversing 180 degrees and keeping it.
One thing I like about this guy is he's extremely generous, and he doesn't call things just flat out retarded. Like, he's like, yeah, sure, but it's not going to do this, that, or the other thing. Whereas, if I had the knowledge he did, I'd go, this is fucking stupid. It didn't happen. I like that he entertains any hypothetical because it makes it stronger when you disprove it.
It's velocity. It's just not how things work. All right, guys, before we jump back into that video, got to give a shout out to...
We don't have to. I mean, go buy the clothes.
So let's look at some things that make the medical examiner's supposed report work. Now, it also makes the narrative...
Look at this guy using supposedly and supposed properly. This is very rare.
...not work, but we're trying to figure this out, okay? So let's look at this. Again, we know he supposedly gets hit in the C2 first... by the medical examiner's report.
Unless that's off to the side. I mean, that's just not working with his face being there. Now, Random Bacon with $5 says Tyler was offset by 9 degrees, meaning the shot does come in slightly from the side. If Charlie turned his head, it might work, but probably not. Yeah, you still got jaw and shit. And I mean, you look at the hole in the front. It seems like that bullet hit him from the back.
Well, let's look at that. We know where the actual wound is, which is here. Okay. Well, we know it can't have come from that slope. Again, it goes straight through his teeth. Not a thing, unless his head was like literally all the way back. So what would it take for this round to have hit him where it hit him as an entrance wound and hit him in the C2 first? We can find that out pretty easily. We can start at the C2. We can come down with our angle here, and we can see that it actually would take a 38-degree upward.
You'd have to be on the ground
for this to have potentially hit him where it hit him and then also hit the C2 first if he was shot from the front. Does that make a whole lot of sense? Well,
wait a minute. If you take this and you drag it this way, hold on a minute. Just humor me here for a second. Just humor me here for a second. If you take this little stick and you move it this way to have a piece of shrapnel or a projectile hit him in the neck like that, isn't that kind of in the same spot a lapel mic would be? Maybe. But the thing is, a lapel mic, even if they rigged it to blow, is not going to fire a bullet.
Maybe if the tunnel theory works. I don't know. That one seemed weird at the time. And then also keep in mind, the round still has to travel then straight back down, which bullets don't do. They don't do this, okay, guys? You would expect a bullet to refract out this way, refract up this way. It's not going to reverse this massive direction back the other way, okay? So I'll make it very clear. If he was shot from the front, in the location he was shot, and it hit him in the C2 first, It had to have come from an upward angle. It could not have come from a
or a side angle, right? It could hit him in from the side.
Downward slope. It's not anatomically possible. But this makes other theories actually possible. Now, the really popular theory that Rob O'Neill just talked about and Range Day Bro has talked about, a lot of people have talked about, which I have not discounted at all, have talked about him being shot from up and behind him. This is very interesting because this actually, besides one little piece, which is that they found around inside of him, this actually potentially makes the medical examiner report work with the injury and ballistics that all potentially work. Let's take a look at that. The C2 is going to be just behind the jaw there, as we've seen it, right? Now, if he gets shot from the back upper right, and again, we don't know what that angle would be because this is all hypothetical, right? We don't know where that shooter was, but anywhere you would think around the way the buildings were, they're all about that height, anywhere from like a 10 to maybe 15 degree angle here. Now, all of a sudden, if he's getting shot in the back right of the head that comes beneath the skull, anatomically, this actually works. It comes in the back underneath his skull, hits him in the C2, and then blows out at a normal refraction angle exactly where we expect to see the exit wound in this case. That actually works perfectly, ballistically, anatomically, to have created that initial impact into the C2. It probably blows down here through the C4, does some damage through C5, C6, through C7 through cavitation. The biggest issue here is this is an exit wound, which means there would be no bullet found inside Charlie's body.
Right.
That goes against the medical examiner's report. All right, and then there's one final potential here, and that was actually brought forward by Peak Prosperity. This is a fantastic video if you haven't seen it either. And he actually had the theory that the shot came from technically the front, but from a much more drastic angle, almost like a 45-degree angle. So we can look at that here too. All right, now, so this theory states that it must have come from a far more horizontal angle.
45-degree angle. Holy shit.
Right, it's because the front angle doesn't work at all, which I agree with. To come maybe up underneath the jaw, even then it's going to be tough where this comes to get to the C2. I don't think you do. I still think you get in the C4, but to cause the actual damage at a much more steep angle, now all of a sudden the refraction as this comes in and comes through here, the refraction comes down and potentially works that way. That's actually a bullet refraction that makes sense. All right, but then the biggest problem we have with this is then this probably doesn't hit him in the C2 either. So where are we left? What's the problem? Well, the problem is that the official narrative with Tyler Robinson, where he took the shot from the angle he took the shot, like I told you at the start of the video, with the type of weapon that he used, is not possible and does not match the medical examiner's report anatomically or math.
See, I'm starting to have the same problems with the Charlie Kirk shooting that I have with the Las Vegas shooting. Give me a new story. I'm willing to believe something happened, but the story you're giving me is bullshit. It's completely useless. It doesn't play. It doesn't work. Tyler Robinson shooting him from straight ahead off of a roof. It doesn't work with the science that you're giving me, and I was always told to trust the science. So it's not working. You need to come up with a new theory. You need to come up with a new idea, and maybe, possibly, you have the wrong guy. Because what you're telling us about this Tyler Robinson, he couldn't have done it. It's just the ballistics of it do not work, or your medical examiner's wrong. One of the two, but between that and the text messages that Candace Owens is showing, I think any theory is back in play now. $5 from Random Bacon says the problem with these side shots is that you're putting all the people on the sides of Charlie in danger, especially if the round makes it through. That's kind of what I was thinking too with all these exit wound theories. It's like, really? We got no rounds like sorry, I'm updating some of the scores here. We got no rounds, nobody saw a round hit the ground, nobody was hitting the foot, nothing like that. It's just you got to go back to the drawing board. You got to bring me something I can use, because if you're going to stick by this theory that you had a couple weeks ago with this Tyler Robinson, I'm sorry, you're covering something up. You're bullshitting us. You're being lazy. It reeks of the Las Vegas shooting. It reeks of the Las Vegas shooting. All right, let's catch up with some of these Rumble rants from a while ago. I'm way behind in the chat, and I apologize for that. $1 from Rabbi Smoothie says, just realized everything the government said in the last 125 years is bullshit, and you'll be on the right track. Well, you probably would win more money betting against the government's official story and all these things than betting for them. We also have $1 from Coltrane says, did he say hit the T vertebrae? Could have fragmented up and into the C1. Did it say it was a direct impact with C1? Medical examiner said it hit his C2 first. 191 Redbird with $1 says the last 5 minutes were irrationally infuriating. I'm not a ballistics expert, but I have shot a lot of animals, and that guy is a lying, grifting faggot that targets people like you with zero knowledge. I mean, it made sense to me. Shooting an animal is different than shooting a person, from what Hobo always calls me at 3 a.m. to tell me. You know, if I shot you like I shoot deer, you'd suffer a lot longer. All right, dude, I'm sorry. It's 3 a.m. I got to get up in 2.5 hours to do a show. Can you stop doing this? Just wanted to let you know again, brother. That's all. Thank you, Hobo. Appreciate it. And you know, I drained. Yes, you drained my blood from cutting both sides of my jugular vein. Got it, dude. This is a. I'd hang you upside down. You'd hang me upside down and you'd drain me like the cow that I am. Yes, I get it. Can I go back to bed? Fuck, he really is obnoxious, you know? He doesn't stop fucking calling. I would cut the oyster. The oyster's off my back. Got it. I've seen Red Dragon too, Hobo. Fuck. Redbird says he's, with $1, says he's pulling these angles and numbers out of his ass. Where's the building height and location to get 9 degrees compared to the chair? No, that's in the medical examiner's report, Redbird. The medical examiner's report said that it was the shot was taken at a 9-degree angle. Fauci's Pangolin says he calls you too. I know, right? It's infuriating. It's infuriating to have Hobo just keep calling you. It's like, yes, we know what you're doing. We get it, buddy. But he's adamant that I know these things. Random Bacon says a 30-06 isn't leaving human vertebrae intact. That's what I hear a lot of people say. Matt says something isn't right here. I'll give you that, but it's not an episode of Punk'd, and he isn't on an island somewhere. Well, you're no fun. You're just no fun. $1 from Rabbi Smoothie says, why is there an exit wound if nothing exited? That's the other thing, is that the medical examiner said the bullet was lodged in there. So if the bullet is lodged in there, what are you going to do?